Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Shulchan Aruch Yomi. Today we are doing Siman Chavzai number 27. It's a little bit long, a little bit of a long Siman, but that's why you got me. We'll go express delivery. Aleph. Makom hanachasim shal yad bezroa small. Basar tafuach shebetzim shebein hakuvado ubeis hashechi. Where do you put your shal yad on? If you were wondering, you weren't taught it when you had bar mitzvah lessons. You're learning this for the first time, so you put it on your weak hand. It says Yadcha Yad Keya, the Gemara Darshan is your weak hand. So most people are righties. We'll see the halacha. We'll get the halacha if you're actually a lefty, you'd actually put it on your right hand. If you're a righty, you put it on your left hand. Where do you put it? You put it on your bicep, basically, right? You have a bone which connects your shoulder to your elbow. I believe that is called the humor, the humor bone. Halfway between the humor bone and the elbow is where you should put your tefillin on. You can put it anywhere, but basically, it's the bicep and the first half of the bicep. Let's say you take your bicep, make a, like a fist, make like a curl with your arm. So you see your bicep, and the lower half of your bicep, that's where you're gonna put it on. כשיעקב זרוע למטה, יהיו כנגד ליבו ונמצא מקיים היו הדברים האלה על לבבך. What you should do is, you should actually tilt the shel yad slightly towards your body, so that when you lay your arm flat down, right, it's supposed to be like this. When you go your arm flat down, it'll actually go further down, and it'll be almost sideways, which will be facing your heart. And you'll be Makayim, which is you're saying Kriya Shema. You're supposed to wear your tefillin during Kriya Shema. So it's a kiyum, it's a nice kiyum in that pasuk. I don't think with the evidence maki. You're supposed to put it in the first half of your bicep. But not the second half. I mean, if you divide your humor into two pieces, right? So the upper half is not a place for your tefillin. Shall yas be the lower half, which is usually on your bicep. It actually, I always thought it has to be on your bicep. From this halakha, it's from the Shulchan Aruch. It's clear that even if it's in the lower half of your humor, close to your elbow, as long as it's in that part, the upper part of that, even if it's not on the bicep, that would be okay. If it's possible. I don't know if it's possible. If you somehow you cut your humor, you split your humor into half, I think the upper portion of that is going to have part of your bicep on it. It's going to be pretty much impossible. If you don't have a hand, meaning you have obviously a humor, you just have a radius and only, you don't have the hand part, the second part, meaning this part, you have this part, obviously. This is where you put your tefillin. So are you chayiv in the mitzvah of tefillin? So he brings a tosfos in Perek HaKohen. Tosfos in Menachos says the gidim chayiv, you're chayiv in the mitzvah. So therefore you put it on with a bracha. Or Zarua cost of the potter. Or Zarua says you're potter in that case. So therefore, since the machlokas rishonim, therefore you put it on, but you don't make a bracha. Beis hanminag hanachon she'ayud shal kesher tefillah shal yad l'sal leva tefillah. Right? If you look at the knot that you make on your tefillin shal yad, it actually looks like a yud. When you make the knot over here, the way the sofer makes it, he makes it with a yud. So that yud should be l'sad chutz, right? Should be facing the outside. Yesh li zar shel tazos yud shel kesher ma'atfila, meaning it should be l'shad yud and it shouldn't be underneath. It'd be a chatzitza underneath your tefillin. We're going to learn about this chatzitza. According to most Rishonim, if there's something directly underneath, now this is only talking about the actual boxes, it's only underneath the boxes, and it divides between your skin or your hair on top, or if you're bald, between your skin and the tefillin on Shal Rosh, that would be a chatzitza and would passel the mitzvah of tefillin, according to most poskim, not according to everybody. So, usually Zar Shal Tazos Yud Shal Kesher Me'at Tefillah, you should be careful. The yud actually is connected. Sometimes people have this. Their yud separates from the actual box of the tefillin. It's supposed to be connected to it. Some people, you'll see they tie a little string around it, but he warns the Mishmur not to tie a string around the whole thing, and then have a chatzitza where the string is passing underneath the box, and being a chatzitza, that would be a problem. Gimel minag anachon l'takin shemavarta shbar retzu overes temunachon sarakate v'chatzitza l'sad yad. Right? technically you can put the tefillin shal yad any way you want, right? Even if it's sort of the way backwards, right? You have on your tefillin shal yad, you have a place where the ritzua goes through, right? An opening in the bottom, underneath the box. There's like a rectangle. That's called a mabarta. So there's a hole in that on one side. So that hole should be closer to your shoulder than closer, and the lower half should be closer to your elbow. Uh, and the ksitza l'sara yad, the ksitza is the closed part, should be towards your hand. That's the minig anachon, and of course this is not ma'akiv. That's what he says. It's the minig anachon. It's not ma'akiv. Because technically the whole point is that tefillin shal yad should be on your bicep. Which way it's facing, it doesn't really make a difference. Dalit. There shouldn't be anything, a chatzitza, as we mentioned, between the tefillin, which is some of the actual box, and your skin. Loshna shal yad, loshna shal rosh. The rosh, obviously, you have hair there. You're supposed to be on the place where you have hair. You're not supposed to be on your forehead. You wouldn't be kind of the mitzvah. But there's not supposed to be anything else dividing besides your hair. Hagav is tefillin or ritzua saying lahapid. There's the chatzitza only applies to the tefillin. The ritzuos, you don't have the makbid. So the Mishnah Berurah brings that ein lahakbid probably goes on the extra ritzuos, meaning you wrap your tefillin around your hand over here. So to have a chatzitza over here, that is for sure not a problem. But he says it's better off not to have a chatzitza where you have the tefillin in the box over here. You have it wrapped around. The one wrapping around to tie it, lahadik, the kshira. So there shouldn't be a chatzitza there. But again, that is not ma'akeh. That's only the chadkila. Even if you had a chatzitza where the ritzua is, even where it ties and tightens the box, it wouldn't be a problem. It's only l'chadkila. Haga, we're going to talk in Shulchan Aruch, why are these things only l'chadkila? The only thing that really matters is the box itself. Haga, hey, Adam Shu Alul Nazilus. The person who sweats a lot. He's not going to want to wear it because he gets so sweaty because the box is pressing against his forehead, and he's going to get very upset. And we're not talking about the frumest guys over here. We're talking about regular Jews over here. Shulchan is made for everybody, so you shouldn't put it all. And he's not going to wear it at all. You can actually put a hat, put on your Nike hat, and put on your tefillin. And on top of the hat, you can put your tefillin on, so that it doesn't make your head sweat. Now, this is only a chuvas harivash l'das harash, but he is one of the opinions that holds there's no chatzitza by tefillin, even though by big day kahuna there will be a chatzitza. By tefillin there is no chatzitza. Most poskim disagree with this. This is only shas al chak mamish, and you wouldn't make a bracha in this case. The Rashba, the Dasa Rashba, that he says there's no problem with chatzitza. He would say over here that you should put it on, but just don't make a bracha. V'itar yad yamino. What is about a lefty? A lefty, which arm does he put on? If everything he does with his left hand, he's left-handed batter, he doesn't switch it, right? And he pitches with his left hand also. And he writes with his left hand. He puts it on his left hand, which is right, and he puts it on his right hand, which is the right hand. Let's say he's ambidextrous. Then he's like everybody else. So you go after Rove. Rove people put on the left hand. Let's say he's a weird person. Not weird. I mean, there's an interesting person. He writes with his right hand, but everything else does with his left hand. Or the opposite. Or he writes with his left hand, everything else does with his right hand. One opinion says that you should put it on the weaker hand, meaning if you only write with one hand, and everything else you do with the other hand, you put it on the hand that you write with. Some say that in regards to tefillin, the primary hand is the hand that you write with, so you put it on the other hand, the weaker hand. The minig is to actually consider the hand that you write with your main hand, because tefillin is says ukshartem uchsavtem. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says. Mashal also yasha koseva. It sounds like the shira is dependent on which hand you write with. So if you write with your right hand and you're everything else with your left hand, you should put it on your left hand. This is the minhag actually. Zayin al bi sheyesh la'adam makav makom hanachas tefillin. Even though he has a wound, the place where it's tefillin, yaniach tefillin ki makom yesh bezrol yaniach shtei tefillin. Right, there's a place on your arm to put two tefillin, just like we'll see on the rosh. Also, the place to put two tefillin, normal sized tefillin. Uh, I'm sorry. I said before that you can put it on any part of the lower half of the bone. That's not true. Meaning, you could put it. Um, you can put it from half ad hakudavo, meaning not the top, not the bottom half, the top half. Um, in Chetzi ad hakudavo, let me just get this straight because. So basically, the halacha is the Shulchan Aruch. The Mishnah Berurah explains that you put it mechesio arak hubado humakom hanachas tefillin from the halfway point of your humor until the bicep, right? Your bicep actually, trying to figure this out. Your bicep is on your lower part. So you divide let's say you split your humor into half, so you put it the lower half, but it has to be on the bicep. Some say it could be on the bicep that's on the upper half of your, so it really has to be on your bicep. It has to be resting on your bicep, or at least most of it has to be on your bicep. Um, um, some say, the Mishnah Berurah says that you could, as long as it's on your bicep, even if it's on the upper half of your arm, it will be okay also. But basically, you need two things. You need the lower half, you need the lower half of your arm, and you need the bicep. Try to get as much of both as possible. Make sure it's the lower half and it's on the bicep as much as possible. The chadchila b'diavad, you could have it even if it's a little bit on the bicep, and also even if it's on the bicep as the upper half of the humor of that bone, it would still be okay. Orach shall yakish takiv es azroa v'yikshar mimen hakesher v'timatach al etzba emsois. The length, how long do your ritzuos have to be? So all you have to do is you have to wrap it once around your arm to tighten it, and then you have to take the ritzua and you don't have to actually wrap it around 7 times. You just have to stretch it till your middle finger. Like the Rambam and the Rif say, the Pshat and the Gemara Menachos is that basically you should wrap it around 3 times around your middle finger, and that as long as you have the length to do that, even though you wrap 7 krichos around your arm, that's okay. The minhag ha'olam is to also additionally have a length where you're able to wrap 6 or 7 times around your radius and your ulna, the lower half of your arm. You shouldn't wrap the ritzua on the titora. The titora is the bottom part of your right. You have the box, and then you have the titora is the lower half, is the rectangular part on below the box. Barta is the place where the ritzua goes through. That Barta is part of the titura. You shouldn't wrap it on the titura. That's not the best thing to do. Again, I don't think that would be a problem. Where do you put it on your head? You put it from where the hairs begin. And it has to be within a place until you get to the part in your head. You could feel it where originally when a baby is born, it's sort of soft in the middle of the head, so the baby can go through the birth canal. The head can fit through the birth canal. After a year or two, it hardens out. But you can still feel where it is. So wherever that starts, that's the last part. You can put it up until there. Usually it's about a big place to put about 2 tefillin. And you see a lot of people I see, they put their tefillin over here and starting tefillin shel rosh starting over here. You would not be yotzei according to that. It would be in the wrong place. I have a shaila because I have a widow's peak over here. I asked the shaila. The rabbi said that you should be machmir not to include the widow's peak and start from the second part of the hair, the main part of the hair. I don't. That's a shaila. You could ask your rav what you should do. Technically, if you don't have hair, you go based on where you used to have hair. That's where it starts from. Where should the ritzuos go to in the back of your head? It should be the orach, which is the back part of your neck. We get started, and basically the Mishnah Berurah explains that to mean is that you should have it. Um, it should the b'diavad. It can't be where it's on the skin. It has to be where your hair still is. And if it's your hair is still there, then b'diavad your yotze. But the best thing is to and make it as much possible that it should be where the oref, which is before you have the guma, before you have the yerida, it's like a valley over here in the back of your head. You should have the ritzua on top of that bone before it's yored. But b'diavad, it's okay to have it in that middle area, just not too low, where the ritzua in the back is tied beneath the hairline. And also in the front, you should make sure it's in the middle. That's why people have these mirrors to make sure that tefillin shows as much as in the middle between your eyes. In the back, also, it should be in the middle of your head and not leaning in either direction. You should have, it makes a dalid. Some people have a double dalid. They have like a box in the back, and the kesher in the back. So that should be, it shouldn't be overturned, basically. It should just be facing outwards. You have to be careful. It shouldn't be turned over. We're going to get to that in a second about the ritzuos being turned over. It might be a very big problem. Yud Aleph, right? We know you're supposed to have black. You're supposed to be black. One side they're black. On the other side they're just, color of plain leather, like whitish, brownish. You have to make sure the shachar is l'sad chutz v'lo yishapchu. Apparently, the Mishnah Berurah feels this is very serious. If they do overturn, you have to maybe midas chasidus. You don't have to do this, but it's a good idea to give staka or to poda your tinus that you're supposed to fast, because it's pretty sad. He clarifies he's only talking about the part directly underneath where you tie the shel yad, and also the part around your head, not the ritzuos that are hanging down in front of you. If those turn over, my friends always used to see them. I wasn't so careful about these things. They used to come over and turn it over for me and say, "Oh, this is so serious, so serious." The truth is, it's not so serious. It's not what he was talking about over here. Anyway, even the part around your arm and the part around your head is only a zohar. It's not really midgar din. Bein shalyah bein sharosh. Shal sharatzuah she was tulim lefanav yegiu tibor. How long should the ritzuos be? They should get until your belly button. Oh, l'malam min ma'at, or a little above. And there's two opinions over here. The Mishnah Berurah brings. One says, Kibbe Eger says that the right ritzua should go till your belly button, and the top one until you go to your chazet, the bottom of your rib cage. Others say that the right one, the machmer sheet, the right one should go down to your malkom mila, to the malkom mila, and the left one till your belly button. Again, this is not mikra din. Technically, you don't have to have anything hanging down. You do have to have something hanging down. Actually, the Gemara talks about something hanging down. It's not clear from the Gemara whether it's talking about the shel yad or the shel rosh. That's why it's a machlokes. Rambam and the Rif say it's talking about the shel yad, and therefore you wouldn't have to have anything hanging down on the shel on the shel rosh. The other opinions say this to run the shel rosh. So that's why it's a suffix. So hilchos or machmer on both of them. Rocha Ritzul Shal Yad Shal Rosh Orach or Lafos. How wide do the Ritzuls have to be? They have to be the length of a barley seed. In Piches Mishir Orach Ritzuls for Rachvan Meino Moshe Acheres Benichin Moshe and Achim Sacheres Kashir. If he has Ritzuls but they're not the right shear, they're not long enough or they're not wide enough, you put them on, because technically, according to a lot of opinions, they're okay. Anyway, Tefillin Shal Rosh Tov Liyosam Gluyim Benirim. You're supposed to have your tefillin be able to seen by everyone, but actually the Mishnah Berurah clarifies your Shal Yad. You're supposed to actually cover your Shal Yad. Some people have a little black box they put on top of it. Other people cover it with their sleeve because it says Lichala Os. It's not a Gemara, but I think they darshan somewhere. Lichala Os for Os for you. Os Ayadecha should be Os for you, not for other people who shouldn't see it. About Talmud, if they rabbo ain't derech legalos tefillin b'fun of. The Gemara says it's not a good idea. Talmud in front of his rebbe shouldn't take off his tefillin. It's considered like his poreg ol in front of his rebbe. Hagav shal yad ein lahakbid. The Rama says ein lahakbid him gluyim mechusim. Shal yad you don't have to care whether they're covered or not. We say actually it's better to cover them. Merely da'achshav she'ein manichin el v'zman kriyash ma'atfilah afilu talmud l'fnei rabbi yachal legalas ap shal rosh v'chem minag shal lizayir. We only put on for tefillah and kriyash ma, so therefore even if you take it off from your rebbe, it's not such a big deal. As it used to be, you wore it all the time. It's like a simon of avda. So you pour it in front of your rebbe, you're being morid the erech of your rabbi. You're you're devaluing your rabbi. Now we wear only Kriyat Shema and Tefillah, so it's something to do with your rabbi of Abdus. That'll be the end of today's shir. I hope you enjoyed. See you in Shulchan Aruch coming up right now.